So the first question that I would like to ask is related to the myths, and it's, I am single, can I still become a foster parent?
Oh, thanks, Mappa. Alison, I think you're a good one to answer this one because you've been single, married single.
Oh, Alison, you're muted. You need to...
Yes, I'm on mute. Yeah.
Okay, we can hear you now.
Yes. Hello. Yes. When I first started fostering, I was a single carer, and you know, I managed it quite well because I you know, dropped the children to school, pick them up at a certain time. So I put my time around the children, which I enjoyed doing, and this is what I wanted to do. Then I got married because I felt, okay, that could open me up a bit more as well, to having a variety of children. And then I divorced again, so I'm back single again. But it hasn't been difficult at all. I've still managed to do from 0 to 18 as a single carer. I did that before I was married. And yeah, so it's been quite a easy process. There's no difficulty at all. I have backup carers that help and I need them.
That's really important, Alison, to recognize your backup, because as a single carer, even as a couple in fostering, it's all part of the team, isn't it? You need your backups.
Yes.
That's so important.
Yes.
Okay, that's excellent. Naisha, we've lost your video.
Oh.
Can you turn your camera on again?
Someone has start my video. You will.
Okay.
Someone has switched it off. I didn't switch it off.
No, but it's okay. So that's why we're here. We have another question, and it's, why do children go through so many foster homes? So we hear stories about children who have been in 30 foster homes or even more. And so why is it that they move around a lot rather than staying in one single place or few places?
I think Alison is quite a good person to comment again on this, because she's had children come to her who've had lots of placements, and also she's had children who have moved on either back home or to another carer. So Alison, could you tell us a bit more of your experience about what it is like to have a child who's moved so many times and a child who's had to move?
Sometimes the children move a lot to different carers. There are times where there's a breakdown in communication, sometimes cause this could be, and also some of the children that come into care, they've had so much issues in their life and so much difficulties that when they come to you, it's very difficult for them to trust you. Sometimes they don't want to, they find it hard to settle with you. They might feel that they're betraying their parents in getting to like you and wanting to be part of your family. So sometimes they actually do things to break down the placement because they've got trust issues, because of the difficult background that they've come from. So it's for us to be understanding of that and try to work with them and let them grow to learn to trust us, which sometimes we're able to achieve this. So it's not, as a foster carer, we learn not to take the blame on ourselves and not to feel bad that it hasn't worked, because it's not always based on us.
It's what the child brings, isn't it?
Yes, because so because they if you really think about some of their lives, the abuses that they may have suffered, various abuses, neglect, sexual, emotional, all these different abuses that they could have gone through. You can imagine the difficulty, and then you're placed as well, living with people you don't know, living with strangers. It can be very difficult. So as a foster carer, you have to really try and be understanding, open-minded, and very, very patient, and a really good listener, and look for when it's time when they're ready for you to open up to you. You can't force the issue either. So, you know, eventually some of the majority eventually do open up to you, but it will, you have to be patient and need a lot of patience, time. Yeah, and not to probe them, and because that could push them away as well. They could find.
Okay, and so we also are asked a lot, why do children enter the foster care system at all?
Oh yes, this is a very interesting, and again in the preparing anyone to become a foster care, that is another question which comes up a lot, and there's so many reasons from being orphan. Literally, we have got children who are orphans, and I know Alison wouldn't mind sharing. She grew up in care, so of course the parents have died, and abuse, emotional. The parents have got learning and emotional difficulties themselves, mental health difficulties, and it could be. Mom has gone to hospital, it could be quite temporarily as well. And when mother comes back, the children will go back. Or they're temporarily being assessed, the grandmother is being assessed, or the father is being assessed, and meanwhile they're waiting for fostering. And it could be that the child plan, the baby plan, in particular babies, is that they're going to be adopted. A decision has been made and they've been they're being freed for adoption. But while they're waiting to be adopted or to find an adopter, they come into foster care. And recently we've had a lot of unaccompanied minors due to wars around the world who turn up on the borders, airports or whatever. That's another reason why children come into foster carers. And then we've had recently quite a lot of mom, dad, and their children come into foster care for an assessment to see whether they can look after their children in the community. And until recently, we never used to have mom and dad, but recently we've had a lot of people coming to the care system because the mom and dad need to be assessed, and it's normally a very short piece of work, 12 weeks, normally 12 to 16 weeks, for our carers to support them, and while the local authority makes a decision whether this adult or these two adults can actually look after their own child in the care system. So it's a varying reasons why people end up, and children, young people end up in the care system.
Some children put themselves into care due to what's happening at home.
Yes, they do. They put themselves into care.